options, and also Ms. Robinson educating us on taxes.
Good evening. Hello?
Yes,
Yes,
Mr.
good
Watts, you are
evening.
live with us. Good
All
evening.
right. Good evening, everybody.
Yes, please introduce yourself for the people.
All righty. My name is Jeffrey Watts. I work for Centers for New Horizons as a job developer. I'm also a professional poet, writer, activist, husband, uh, and concerned citizen activist. That's it.
Thank you so much. And Miss Robinson, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Mimi Robinson. I am the owner and I own two businesses. So I'm the owner of Empower Tax Pros. I'm also a real estate broker. I own one of the few Black women owned real estate brokerages in the city of Chicago.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you so much. And Miss Mimi, I know that you said you have a presentation for us to show the people. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you, okay?
No problem. I wouldn't call it a presentation. It's just a short introduction and slide about the tax preparation process. So I'll wait for it to come up. Oh, and as a side, I love questions. I'm watching the chat. So if you have any questions that you want me to address while I'm in, that's my real estate elevator speech. So we can scroll down to the next slide. I'm the proud owner of the Realty Shop in Beverly. There we are. So about me, just for anybody who didn't catch it at first, my name is Mimi Robinson. I've been a tax preparer officially for the last 10 years is how long I've been registered with the IRS. But I've been doing taxes since I was 18 years old. So if you do the quick math, I've been doing taxes for about 23 years now, which is older than my son. I have a degree in finance and accounting, and that's not necessary to do what I do, but the knowledge of the tax law, and you got to like numbers to do it. So I'm just saying I got a little bit of experience, educated fool. But outside of that, I got a little bit of something to share just with anybody. Give me 1 second. I can't see the chat. So just raise your hand and ask questions. Now, about taxes. Everybody likes doing taxes, correct? I do. For most people, it's a stressful task to do every year. But as the saying goes, the only thing that is for sure is death and taxes, especially in the US, because the IRS knows how to find you. They find us all based on the little 9-digit social security number that they give us at birth. That's very important. And I'll speak on how to protect that and making sure that you protect that once you get into the filing taxes. So the brief title of what we agreed to speak about is how to file your taxes. For me, step one is find someone like me, a tax preparer. And that's just my little shameless plug. But it's not rocket science, just a little bit close. Like you're not doing a rocket science at NASA when you're doing your taxes, like in a lobby, because it's hard, but it's not that hard. You can actually navigate and do your own taxes, especially with the digital software out here. So I'm going to start with everything that you would need. There are certain documents that you need to do your taxes. And For me, it's second nature because I'm used to seeing it, but I'm going to give you a little rundown. First and foremost, you need a social security number or an I-10. An I-10 is a number for people who are non-residents or non-citizens that the government assigns you. So they give you this number, and this is the number that they find you with and associate with your name and your identity when you file your taxes. So that's the first thing you need, social security number or an I-10. Secondly, you would need any type of tax documents that you are provided. And we can run down the millions of forms that they provide you, but anything that you receive that says tax documents, because legally it needs to state it on the outside of the envelope that this is a tax document when you get it delivered in the mail. So you keep that, whether you know what it is or not. This year, little aside, the IRS sent out letters, said tax document on the outside, and inside you just got this little letter telling you what the stimulus you received, if you received it at all, or if you received the advanced child tax credit, which a lot of parents receive for children under 17. And it was a slight letter, set that amount, you already received it, who cares? You care because you need that document to actually file your 2021 taxes. So just remember, when you get any tax documentation in the mail, keep it, put it in a pile, and make sure you have it when you go to take this task of doing your taxes or having someone do them for you. Outside of that, there's this little thing called the 1040. Been around for years, decades actually, and that is what you file your taxes with. And after that, it gets a little bit complicated, and I send people to take classes so that they can learn how to actually do it if they want to take over this task. But I always, and again, shameless plug, advocate the use of a tax preparer, a professional registered tax preparer that's registered with the IRS. And you want to ensure that you get those type of people to help you if you are at any point nervous on taking on this task of doing your taxes yourself. Again, the software out there can help you, but a tax professional knows what credits, deductions, and everything you qualify for. There are about 8 different types of tax returns, and you don't even know sometimes which ones you qualify for because we're only used to doing what the tax software tells us.
Miss Mimi, can I jump in?
You sure can. Hi, Don.
How you doing? First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being on here. And the reason why is because here at My Turner, our main goal is to prepare each individual to be well positioned when it's time to purchase a home. And there are 3 entities that, underwriters request, and that's they want to see 2 years of employment history. Well, when I say 2 year consistent in the same industry. And then they want to, of course, your credit score. But have you filed your taxes in the last 2 years? And this is something that I come across over and over again, where we may have those last 2 years where employment is concerned, and we may have that credit score, but you will be surprised how many people do not understand the importance of filing their taxes. I've heard Miss Mimi say, you can do it on your own. But this is one thing I do want to tell everyone. If you don't specialize in some things, give it to somebody that specializes in them, that you know is going to be done right and that you can sleep at night. I'm so excited that you come on because I was laughing with Miss Robinson. I was like, now listen, no shade at all. No shade to anybody. But I was like, Miss Robinson, now are you working at your house or you got your own home? I mean, are you working at your house or you got your own office? She said, I have my own office, sir. And we started busting up laughing. And she was like, no, she was like, now listen, I know you're not trying to throw shade. And I wasn't, but we want to make sure that everything that you have with those personal documents are secured and locked away. And even some things she may not even need paperwork. You all are doing it digitally, where it's something no one has to worry about. But more than anything, I want to say, you want to get your taxes done. You want to get your taxes done right. I remember I was embarrassed when I went to get my some years ago. I haven't had my taxes done like 5 or 6 years. Like they had to go way back. And the lady that did my taxes, she was like, "Wait a minute, you haven't did. Wait, what have you been doing? Like I'm confused." And I really didn't know the importance of, because we have a fear. Like when we do our taxes, we're gonna have to pay the IRS. You know what I'm saying? I'm scared. I don't even want to do. Let me just continue with life. But if you don't take care of some of the most basic things at an early stage, they will come back tomorrow, not only haunt you, they will attack you, and you'll be in a worse position that you would have been if you would, a worst case scenario, just allowed your tax preparer to put you on a payment plan with the IRS. For
Don,
50,
you said that
yes,
you
ma'am.
had 5 years
5
outstanding
years.
taxes and no one
Yeah.
had come for you. So let me
I was
break.
getting them phone calls. I was getting them phone
Okay,
calls. Don't you think I would?
that's what I'm saying. Because legally, the IRS gives you 3 years to cure your tax debt. And again, I try to be humble because I don't want to press my services on everybody, because I think everybody should come to somebody like me, whether you come to me or anybody else, but come to me. I think that this is necessary because we perish for lack of knowledge. And people don't know that after 3 years, if you're due a refund, the IRS doesn't have to pay you. Wow. And if you don't file your taxes after 3 years, the IRS stacks on so many penalties, they make it hard for you, and they use your own numbers based on their estimates. So you are pretty much at their mercy. And then you have to come to somebody like me to get it filed, because they will not take your own numbers. And if they do take your numbers, they are going to adjust it based on their estimates and what they felt like you should have filed. Going through an audit and an amendment is not easy. And when they tack on those penalties, you are pretty much stuck. And people who get into Don's position, I see it all the time in both my businesses. I also do real estate, where we need your taxes so that you can actually get a home. We need 2 years of taxes. There's this little form called a 4506T. And that 4506T authorizes your mortgage broker, or whoever else you authorize, your lawyer, maybe not your real estate agent, but I asked for it, to get your taxes. And you authorize us to get your taxes. All of my real estate clients, I give them that form along with my real estate brokerage agreement, my sponsoring brokerage agreement, so that we don't get into any troubles, because people do get embarrassed about their financials. They do get embarrassed, and it's only because you just don't know how. You feel overwhelmed. What is this document? What is this? And that's why you should always go to somebody who is a little bit more smarter than you, or an expert in that industry, because there is nothing embarrassing about doing something that everybody else in the world is doing.
Yeah. Miss Mimi, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Miss Robinson, I apologize. So when you're trying to, I've seen this quite a bit, when people are trying to get their taxes taken care of, and they go in, and their biggest thing is, I don't want to owe nothing to the IRS. Make it where, I can say that, I had to put a new roof on the house. I had to do this, that, and the other. Make sure that and it may show as though you didn't make a profit. How can that hurt you when you're trying to go buy a house or trying to go buy some type of property, and you're trying to prove that you make a certain amount of income? But
they change this line every year. It's this little line called the adjusted gross income. And that is so important in the home buying process, because it tells the government actually what your liabilities are as far as what you can hold. This is the number that most mortgage companies use to state what your income is. And if you write off everything, your mama, your cat, your kids, and you're left with negative in the HEI, you show that you are destitute. You have no money. So you have to be very mindful when you're going through the home purchasing process. And this is why I was joking, Aaliyah, you actually, there is some deductions for pets, but they have to be a certain kind. But no, you can't write off your pet. You can't write off your mama either, but you can definitely take on as a dependent. But when people go through this process, you want to make sure that you are stating your income so that when they take your AGI and they look at all of your overall financials, your debt to income ratio, your adjusted gross income, how much you're actually pulling in, you want to be able to say that you can sustain the payment of whatever house, because they base that little number on last year was line 8. They move it every year. So I'll look at a 2021 1040 and tell you where that number is. But they base that, how much house you can afford, on a part of that number. So you don't want to go in and say, hey, Mimi, can you make it so that I get this huge refund back? And I want to talk about that, but I'm going to finish Don's point. You want to make it so that you look like you have income, a sustainable income for the type of home you want to purchase. The next point, and I'm going to speak about the refunds and the overall attitude about refunds and how tax time is great. My industry calls it taxmas, when we have that first batch drop where people get all the refunds, right? Let me talk to you guys, and I'm going to sound very much Trumpist. The goal of doing taxes in America is not to get a refund. It's also not to owe. It is to break even so that you have no tax liability. To me, that's a win. Because think about it. If you get a refund at the end of the year, that means you've paid into the government way more and now they owe you, right? So you've been giving the government all this money throughout the year and now they owe you, right? And this is just a simplified version because of course there's deductions and credits, but just the mindset that a lot of people have, when I get my taxes, I need a refund. No, that shows that you are definitely free with your money and you don't understand that you've overpaid the government, because a refund, if you look at your tax return, it states overpayment, meaning you've given the government way too much money throughout the year. Other side of it, let's say you come through and then I look at you and be like, hey, I'm sorry, but you owe the government such and such an amount of money. You have not prepared yourself to take care of your tax liability throughout the year so that you don't owe the government. And really, that's as simple as it is. But if you break even, that means you paid your taxes, you're on the right side of the law, right side of Uncle Sam, and you've done your due, and your income is true, and everything is good. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good refund. Why? It makes me feel good inside seeing my clients get it. And it also, it just lets me know that the government has taken care of our people, because some people need that extra boost of money. But the goal of taxes, of tax preparation, is to have you break even. When you hear about the 1% of the population of the US, those are the billionaires, the very high-end millionaires, but mostly billionaires. Those people not worried about a refund. And don't get me wrong, yes, Mimi, that's because they don't have to worry about these bills either. But their goal for tax preparation is completely different than the lower 40% of America, because all they want to do is break even. So when they come to somebody like me, certified accountant, whatever, they're looking for somebody to find them all the credits, all the deductions, so that they can lessen their tax liability. For somebody in the lower percent, they're looking to me for the same exact things. Get me the credits, get me the deductions, so that I can get some income, an influx of income, where the government has built-in tax laws to take care of the lower 5%, lower 25%. Those people get the earned income credit. Those people get the child tax credit. And they actually took care of those people who made under, I think it was $78,000 with the advanced child tax credit this year. So you got money in advance. And people now are like, wait a minute. No, that was a loan. The government is taking it back through your taxes. So when people think about getting their taxes done, there are a lot of moving parts. where somebody like me goes to school in the last quarter of the year when they release the tax laws so that I can learn it, how to help my people. Next thing, or can I keep going?
No, you can. You can keep going. We're taking in this information. Anyone have any questions so far? Because this is a very vital step where purchasing a home is concerned. You want, and really a lot of your major purchases, they want to know how much money you got coming in. And some people, they're going to ask for your taxes here or there. So does anybody else have any questions where the tax process is concerned? Got a question for you, and you can hit on it later on, or this may not be the segment for it. Can we talk about 1031 tax exchanges? Probably not this time, but probably next time.
Definitely. So
Okay.
we can talk about that there, but I think Robinette has a question.
Sure.
I have a question too.
So let's get Ms. Robinette first, because she raised her hand. Ms. Robinette, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for welcoming me to this Zoom meeting today. My name is Robinetta. I'm a participant of the program. And my question is, what if you wasn't employed? Like, say, for instance, I want to buy a house 2022, but I wasn't working in 2021 or 2020. Would that affect my eligibility of becoming a homeowner or purchasing a home?
Okay, so I'm going to put my real estate hat on for this. And I'm not a mortgage broker, but I can tell you that you will need some employment history. Were you self-employed, or are you just speaking of being employment, just having any employment?
I could say a little self-employment, yes.
And that's where your taxes come in, because that's where they're going to look to see if you filed your self-employment taxes to what you
Okay.
have put in.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. There are some programs, I'm not sure if any exist anymore, that assist people who are unemployed, but you have to have some type of income in, to my knowledge, and I'll defer to Don, to get a mortgage or own a home, to get through that process. But if you are self-employed, I highly recommend that you get your taxes done, and that you get a tax done by a professional. So, and then you work hand in hand with your mortgage broker if you haven't gotten your taxes done before then, so that you can actually state the true amount of income that you can actually really feasibly hold to feasibly afford the mortgage that you're looking for.
So one thing I'm gonna say, Miss Robinson, I'm gonna say, like my grandma always say, don't get me the lion. But from one thing that I have heard is, because of this whole pandemic and COVID situations, lenders do have special programs for those who have been unemployed for the last 2 years, or the last, since the pandemic. They do have something in place, but a lot of the banks, it all depends on the different products. So you have to ask, banks, do you have a product for individuals that, was not working through the pandemic? Does it count? And they will share more information with you in depth of what they offer.
Yeah, I know there are some programs. I just don't know if they're still in existence, since the world is slowly opening back up.
But that was a great question. Great question. Anybody else?
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify, because I think I heard you say that the advanced child credit was a loan, and that when you go to file your taxes this year, you'll have to pay back that loan. I just want a clarification on that.
So yes, remember those 2 little letters I was telling you about that people were like, oh, I got this money. What is this? And give me 1 second. I think I can do you one better. I got a stack of files right here that I'm holding for those letters, but I think I might have got one. Let me go. So, got it. So let me make sure that none of her information is showing. Okay, cool. So if you can see, This is what the letter looked like. Okay. And this is for someone who has 2 children and they got $3,000 in the advanced child tax credit. When you go to do your taxes, let's say you do your taxes and with all the credits and tax rules, you put it in and it says, oh, you have a refund of $6,000, right? Then they take you to the screen and say, hey, did you receive the advanced child tax credit? And this is when people stop and call me and be like, Mimi, what's that? I'm like, remember that letter? It's actually letter 6419 that you got in the mail. And it says it right here, letter 6419. And I say, refer to letter 6419 or one of those letters that you got in the mail because you got 2 this year, the Economic Impact Payment, EIP letter, and the ACTC, Advanced Child Tax Credit. When you go put these numbers in, and I suggest that you do, because everything is digital now at the IRS, they can't do a lot, but they upgraded their system. When you put those numbers in, it will reduce that $6,000 refund by $3,000. So, and think about the logic in it. This credit that we're talking about is called the Advanced Child Tax Credit. They gave every single one of us who received it, me included, the option to opt out, right? Okay, cool. A lot of us did. The smarter one, well, not even the smarter ones. A lot of us just didn't, and some people did because they were like, well, I don't want this money in advance. But yes, when you go now, they take out that $3,000 because they gave you that money in advance, and now you're responsible for it as a liability on your taxes. Now, the implications, if you say, hey, I didn't get it, they're going to take your taxes. It's going to delay your refund or delay the processing of your taxes because they have a record digitally of everybody who's received that credit. They have a record digitally of everybody who received the economic impact statements. And if they don't catch you immediately in the processing, they have 3 years to come find you to get that money. And then they will deny you the use of that credit going forward. So that's important. Did I make sense?
You did. Thank you.
Same with the stimulus, because a lot of us found out last year, me included, that if you tell the government, hey, I didn't get the stimulus. Now, under the Trump administration, it was real messy, right? They was just sending out money. Why? Because we were in a pandemic and they were moving quickly to give us an influx of money so that we can stimulate the economy, because that's all what Trump was about. We found out last year that, hey, if we say we don't claim this credit, they actually put money on our tax return. That's no different this year, but I wouldn't try it. Remember how I said the IRS quickly upgraded their systems? They know who received the economic impact, that $1,400 times however many dependents you got. And if you say I didn't get it, they're going to give you $1,400 times how many dependents you're claiming on the tax return. But as soon as it goes for processing, it's going to go, we know who didn't get it, and you weren't one of them. And so that's going to delay your processing, and it may result in an audit or a penalty letter saying that you tried to defraud the government. I wouldn't try that one either. So those two letters that I spoke about are very important.
Ms. Robson, let's talk about why, like the whole fraudulent, like how you can really do time in jail where playing with this money is concerned.
I mean, Wesley Snipes. Let's talk about it. And it's getting easier. So back in the day, you know, we have people with means, you know, they have these accountants, teams of accountants trying to find all the ways that they can hide these people's money or lessen their liability to the government for money that they didn't pay taxes on. So those are the big people because they don't want to pay millions of dollars to the government, right? But let's talk about the little average Joe who works a job and they're not making millions. They're middle class, 40,000, 250,000. Let's say that they did their own taxes and they missed something, or they did their own taxes and they added on a credit that they weren't supposed to have. Now, let's talk about something that when they get audited, because they're going to get found out due to the digital processing at the IRS now. When they get audited, and I have an example too. When they get audited for using a credit they weren't supposed to or not reporting income that they were supposed to, they have a penalty. Now, usually the government will say, hey, just pay us a percentage, pay us back what you owe us, and then you got to pay us on top of that for wasting our time. But let's say we go through the audit and the auditor will be like, hey, you did this on purpose. There's 5 to 15 years of jail time based on the process that you will be given automatically. If you know anything about financial literacy, you understand that when you do bankruptcies, you cannot go bankrupt on the government. They're always going to have that penalty on you. So if you get put into that position and you're actually convicted, there's this little thing called restitution, and you will be liable for that until you pay it off. And that gains penalties every year if the judge puts it in. Sometimes they don't put penalties on restitution. But moral of the story, don't defraud the government. But there's a silver lining. Let me talk about what I can do, y'all. Okay, so sad story. And her file is right there as well. I actually know it's underneath my computer. So young lady, 18, first time getting her taxes done. She went to a preparer who wasn't completely ethical, because a lot of y'all come into our offices and be like, give me all the money. And I'm sure she was no different. And this 18-year-old got a $6,000 refund. No kids, worked the job. I think it was Amazon or customer service. 2 years later, her mother comes into my office with a letter saying that her daughter has a fraud letter. I would show it to you, but it's underneath my computer and y'all ain't got time for me to look for it. But she has a fraud letter and she needs help. And this is where levels of tax preparation services, because when you walk into an H&R Block, that's just somebody who took one class and they're doing your taxes, pretty much data entry. When you come to somebody like me, who I'm not an enrolled agent yet, but I am a lead registered tax preparer, and I have a CAF number with the US government, there are people who can help you work through that short of a tax lawyer. So she got a $5,000 penalty. They didn't pay her 2018 taxes because it didn't make sense. You're 18, and the credit that the guy used, I'm not going to tell y'all because it's still in effect, and people are still using it for not good, for evil. The credit that the guy used didn't even make sense for her age, and she couldn't support it. I actually worked directly with the IRS, and I got that penalty removed, not reduced, but definitely rescinded. So now her tax return that was $6,500 was only supposed to be $218. They're now paying her $269 because I had to support and let them know that she was 18 and that she didn't understand the liability of it. So they gave her grace. So always, don't think it's the end of the world, but always get some representation. Now, an EA for the government is an enrolled agent. That's my next level, and I'll be that by tax year 2022. That is someone who actually can perform an audit for the IRS. And so I have to make a choice, because if I perform audits for the IRS, I can't do tax returns. So that's somebody who you come to and they represent you to do little things like penalty removal, offers in compromise, which is a settlement with the IRS government, audit representation. And people pay a lot of money for those services. So I'm looking forward to getting that level of certification, but I don't know if I'm going to leave my clients. Anything else? I got 1 more minute left, y'all. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Listen,
I have a
I,
question.
Yes.
hold on 1 second. So we're gonna give one more question. You'll be the last. Mr. Robinson, you are too much. You are like the bomb.com. Your information is displayed up front. Is this the 872 number they can contact you at?
Yes.
So is the
They can also book
872
on my website.
great 872-205-5868. Let's give this amazing woman some business. Let's service her, but at the same time allow her to service you all. Miss, go ahead with your question, and then we'll make a transition from there.
Okay, now maybe you can help me with this, and I'm gonna come to your office and visit you, Miss Robinson, so we can talk in person. In 2007, 2006, I filed a tax return with this company. 2007, they thought that I was coming back because of the prior year. I told them I was going to return. Okay. So they went in and allegedly accidentally sent up my return without my permission. I didn't come back the next year to file. Okay.
Mhm.
This was in 2007. Around 2008, I got a letter saying that I didn't qualify something about something. But anyway, the letter prompted me to call the IRS. I found out that somebody filed my taxes. They said that I owe this money. So I said, okay, can you tell me where did they cash the check? Maybe I could see who's on camera, see if it was someone around me. The lady at the IRS told me that the money was not released from the bank, but it was okayed in the system and that I still owe. Come to find out what happened, the company that I filed with in 2006, a guy named Greg, made a mistake and put my return in the crate to be filed. They filed it. IRS caught it because of the mishap that I had in 2006. So they didn't pay out for years. And I probably still have the lien on my credit report. I'm not sure because I don't know what's the statute of limitations or how long they can penalize me or whatever. But for years, I did affidavits. I did certain forms to send in. I asked them to show me proof. How can they say that I did this? They don't have no signature. They don't have no signature. They don't have me on camera, on phone, none of this. It wasn't me.
So this is
but they were holding me
where
liable.
So this is where, and I hate to cut you off because
That's okay.
you do need to definitely come in, whether you need representation, but this is where representation matters. This is where you needed an enrolled agent or a tax preparer. The statute of limitations is usually 10 years that they can go back. But in your case, the statute of limitation is forever because it looks like you tried to do some things. Back in 2006, 2007, they weren't used to all of the fraud and they weren't issuing in what's called an IP pin. And that's something that they issue now. So for you, because fraud is rampant right now with all the digital technology and everything going on. So you still have a little bit of hope. You can make an appointment on my website. Don't use the virtual, definitely come in. We can go over everything and then we can see what your situation, because it's a little bit complicated and I see why you haven't filed. So what we can do, because right now you need avocation and I can advocate for you. I look forward to
Exactly. That's why I haven't filed. I love you, Ms. Robinson.
I've been doing this 23 years. I know how to do the 1040 by hand because back then, when I went to H&R Block, I ain't had no choice. And I got degrees on degrees, but that don't matter. I can definitely service you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So before I go, Don, and I know I'm cutting into Mr. Watts' time, I just want to say thank you to you all for allowing me to speak. Servicing this my people, just to be blunt, is my passion. Please, if you need me, I'm here for you. And thank you, Don, for giving me this platform. I really appreciate it.
Listen, we pray you come back. We need you. I'm sending everybody that needs taxes done from our team, from our, from our partners, for our, whatever. We send them to you because we know that you're going to get it done right. We know you're going to get it done and fairly, but more than anything, your experience has given you the strategies needed to take care of each and every individual situation. So I'm just so happy you sacrificed your time to be with us. And thank you so much.
That's so funny. I ain't gonna tell y'all how Don called me old when I told him I've been doing taxes for 23 years. He's like, you don't even look that old. Oh my God.
You know I love you.
Y'all
I
have
love you. Take care. Have a good day. All
I'm
right, Ms.
gonna listen to
Mokuba,
Mr. Watts.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, and Miss Mimi Robinson, they're asking for your info, so please leave us with your info. We appreciate it.
She'll probably drop her info in the box, or if we could drop her information in the chat box. But we're running out of time, and I want to be respectful for our other guests as well. Let's bring him aboard.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with us. So, without further ado, we have Mr. Geoffrey Watts.
How's everybody doing out there?
What's going on,
Mhm.
King? Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate your last guest, Mimi. I've ran into some problems with the IRS in the past, and it's a headache. It's a headache when you got to deal with them. And the Illinois branch made a mistake with me. They made the error, and eventually I had to still pay because of their error. And it really put a damper on a lot of things in my life. I fought them for several years before I lost, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth for federal government and taxes. But anyway, that's another story. The reason why I was here was to deal with wealth as far as through employment and how you can strategize to get to your next step. So I just wanted to encourage people to do that, because when you pursue home ownership, of course, you must have some type of income at one point or another. I already heard Mimi state, and some of the inquiries state that the banks require at least 2 years of income that they would like to be able to see in order for you to procure home ownership. So to generate the income, most people, if they're not self-employed, have to have a job. And in that job, you have to strategize if you're going to pursue gaining a home. If you want to get a home, then you have to first lay it out and say, okay, this house is going to cost me $10 a year. And out of those $10 a year that this house is going to cost me, I need to put aside $1 for me, $1 for whatever, and $1 for this. And then you allocate your monies, but you also should be allocating time, because time is money, and allocating time for your advancement so that you can make more money in the job that you are already in, or you can change careers or go into another avenue to make more money. So you, just like you would allocate saving or putting that dollar aside, your time is money. And you have to look at it. We devalue time. We really do not put the price on it that we should. Your time is very, very valuable. And we have to start learning as African Americans how to put our particular price on it so that we can value the time as much as we value the currency that touches our hands. And that is a big mistake. Give you some examples. If you know you got to get a 3-hour college credit. So you got to go to school for, let's say from October until January. Okay, so you're enrolled in school September, should I say, to December. So September through December, You have to allocate so much of your time for that. You have to really be diligent. You have to really have some structure. You have to really know the value of time in order for you to be successful in your studies so that you can gain that certification, so that you can gain that degree, whatever it is that you're pursuing, so that you can have some upward mobility when it comes down to finances. So, and this all falls in your lap. And you can't look at anybody else but the man in the mirror. So, I want to encourage those of you all who have devalued time to get your time back, get your money back. Right now, you're cheapening yourself by not putting in the value of time into the equation of you pursuing a equitable, like almost an equitable return for the investment of it. A lot of people waste time. A lot of you all waste time. I can't count on fingers and toes how many times I've run into a person who was supposed to have a perk card because their perk card expired, which kept them from getting a job in security, and jobs in security are very plentiful. But they didn't take the time or invest in the time to get a simple perk card, which cost $49. When they got their stimulus, they could have put that money aside to update the licenses that they should have. But they didn't value the time. And seconds turn to minutes, turn to hours, turn to days, turn to weeks, turn to months, turn to years, then you die. So you have to, if I can't impress upon your audience anything more than this, you have to start putting a price on it. You have to start valuing your time. You have to put into the equation that, okay, I want this home. And what are the things that I'm going to have to do to keep the home? Well, I should be increasing my income. That's one of the things that I should do. Okay, how are you going to increase your income? Well, I know that if I need some schooling or I need a certification, I can increase my output, my monies, and I can live a more comfortable life so that I can have a little cushion for the monies I have to put out in order to pay my property taxes, in order to pay for my home on a monthly basis. I'll give you just a little example that goes a long way. Even a certification into forklift could mean the difference between making $15 an hour and $18 an hour. So you get your forklift certification and you find a place, you already did your research. You already know that these are going to be some of the companies that will take me on if I have that certification. You do your research. You invest time into that so that you're not just precariously going to get a forklift certification and don't have an idea how to use it once you get it. You just applying for jobs. No, there's a strategy behind it. You're doing the research. You're talking to the companies. You're saying what their need is. And then after you find out what their need is, after you do your finding, you go and pursue your education for a short period of time. Forklift classes are not long. And now you've increased your income by $2 to $3 an hour. Little things like that go a long way. They go a long way. And if you go about that in everyday life, it just adds to who you are, as opposed to you subtracting from who you are because you didn't value time. So I want to just give you, I'm being very myopic. I didn't want to get grandiose and make this thing more complicated, because the truth is simple. If it's complicated, it's a lie. So I want to make it as simple as possible for somebody to see, I'm not using my time right. Do you allocate a certain amount of time to read every day? Do you allocate that time? Do you allocate a certain amount of time to increase your vocabulary? our family, we do some crazy stuff. And my sister, she sent me an email, a text, and used the word supine. And I was like, supine? I've seen the word before, but I was like, supine, in a supine position. Well, I use prone. It means to lay flat. Both of them mean to lay flat. But I went and looked this word up for myself because I wanted to increase my vocabulary. I wanted to increase my understanding. If you're just staying stagnant and getting high every day and chasing weed and chasing drink and chasing women, is that a good investment of your time? Is it? You know, you have to appropriate a certain amount of time for things that matter. And one of the things that matters, is for you to be able to be comfortable once you possess your home. So, I'm in hopes that you will choose to invest your time more wisely. And in that way, you can increase your income because you can eventually make up the mind as to the direction that you want to go. I know somebody who just took CDL classes. I don't know if you all know, but the federal government made it mandatory. You have to go to CDL school now. That's mandatory. It's a mandate. They cannot even let you on the road if you don't come from an accredited school as of this year, from January. So, because they've had so many accidents and so many people who don't know how to back up trucks and so, so now they want to make sure that just you ain't gonna get out there and go willy-nilly just because you could pass, because you took Bebe's truck, because you talked to him while he was in the diner, and now you go and get your CDL and you think that you're ready to go on the road and have no training whatsoever. So, if that person normally would invest about $5,000 into themselves to go to school, $5,000-$6,000, but the return is huge. Once they get out, they can make anywhere between $70,000 to $100,000 in a year, just depending on what you choose to do and who you choose to work for, or who chooses you. And that means you allocated your time to make more money because you had a goal in mind, end game in mind. You knew that you needed more money so that you could sufficiently pay the bills to keep your abode, and you don't want it usurped from you because you didn't pay your property taxes or you didn't pay your mortgage, and you want to be able to provide yourself a nest egg just in case something could happen. Something happens to you. And I've known people who they had COVID and some other things that took place, and they ate up all their money that they had saved, but thank God they had some money saved. So that's really, it's 6:57, it's almost time to stop. And I think if I could impact your audience on anything today, it's just to reassess, what are you doing with your time? What are you doing with it? It makes all the difference in the world. I heard Mimi saying, to use somebody that's professional. And Don, he also reiterated that. And the key to success, I said this in the last Zoom we did, the key to success is to surround yourself with people who are greater than you. So always have a crew. One thing that I heard in a TikTok, and I'll leave you all with this, is that a pastor was in the pulpit and he said, "I'd rather be carried by 6 alive than be carried by 6 to my grave." So who are those 6 people that are going to carry you and uphold you, that you can surround yourself by, who have your back? Well, who are those 6 people? That's something to think about.
And you know what? One thing I liked about what you said, where time is concerned, I tell people over and over again, your time and your money, you got to place it before you get it. That's why you have to do the basic things before you get your paycheck, write out your bills, because emotion will make you waste your time, and emotion will make you waste your money. So you got to have a plan for your money and your time before you get it. And another thing, you can't do it. It's going to come to a place in life for everyone, if it has not come already, where you start to value your time more than you start to value the dollar to a degree. And this is what I mean by that. I've been in the Airbnb industry for a few years, and it started off with me trying to do everything myself. So I'll be out there cutting the grass, and it take about 2.5, 3 hours, sometimes even 4 hours for me to cut the grass, trim the bushes, and try to, how you edge the sides. You're doing everything that I'm professionally not fit to do, where lawn care is concerned. Going to get to see, put it down. It's like a pulling weeds, a 4-hour job. And I'm doing all that to try to keep $60 in my pocket, $50 in my pocket. And I said to myself, it's 4 hours of your life worth $50. If you don't call a company to come out here that's going to knock it out, it's going to be about 5 of them that's going to knock it out in 45 minutes and have it looking better than you can have it looking. And in that time, you out doing whatever else you need to do that's going to bring you in $200 or $300. So it's at a place where, and it goes back to what I was talking about with Miss Mimi as well, and this gentleman as well. If you're not an expert, you can't be an expert in everything, but it is good to be a jack of all trades. Don't get me wrong. But you can't be an expert in anything. It's okay to pay somebody else that's an expert in that, and it's going to save you the time, the peace of mind. It's going to save you so many different things that's going to help you get to the next place in your life with a smoother transition. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir. Did anybody have any more questions before we get off of this Zoom? I want to feel free to open up the space. How can we get a hold of you, sir? And how can we get involved with what you're doing?
One of the best ways to get in contact with me definitely is on Facebook. I run a job page on Facebook called Employment Opportunities Network, Employment Opportunities Network -Chicago. You'll see a little dog as the icon. So that would be the best way to get in contact with me. Inbox me, friend me, and put a note in your message letting me know, hey, I talked to you, I saw you on this particular Zoom. Let me know who you are, because I meet a lot of people, and I don't, just because you friend me doesn't mean I'm going to friend you back, so
That's
I have
true.
to know first. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is one thing I want to tell everyone too. The resources that we offer you all, these are a lot of our personal resources, our personal friendships, and they are we try to say that we're a family within the family of resources that help our people overcome the obstacle of systematic oppression. So the reason I'm saying this is, don't go and connect with our partners just to take. If you know that our partners can benefit from some information that you have, or benefit from, any type, it's an even trade. Not only, hey, can you do this for me, but what can I do for you? And let's give back to these individuals that are that's on the front line with these powerful resources that's going to help our personal lives with more ease. Let's not just go with the approach of, can I have your services, and can I have your services for free?
Don, can I just say something real quick? Do I have enough time to say something to
Go ahead, sure.
your audience? We just recently had an award ceremony for people who have invested into our page. But in the interim, my goal was $3,000 to raise on the page. So we still had food for the people, and the awards came late by FedEx, but we still got them their awards. Within the week. Right now, we've been passing them out. People had to come get them late. But the point that I want to make is that with these goals that we had set, and the way that we went about it, people invested in us. They gave reciprocity. Even some of your members, Chinese and Chef Lee and some other people, they saw the benefit in the cause, because we take our monies off of the job page We just helped a woman leave a domestic violence situation and set her out of state. So, it's little things like that that allow us to be able to we put people and you were talking about Airbnbs, we put people in Airbnbs. We put people in hotel rooms who are homeless, who need some wind underneath their wings, and make sure that they get their ID, and make sure that they get a job, and make sure we buy them some work boots. We do that stuff. And instead of having to go on and keep begging and begging and begging, now we start to be able to add a little money to our coffers, because it was a certain expense to get the trophies, close to $1,000, and then it's a certain expense for the food. But then after that, we start having additional monies that we can utilize. So I don't have to go on my page and say, hey, y'all, we need help with so and so. I can do it myself. I can go and help somebody who's coming to my inbox to be able to get the help that they need. And it's because of what you just said, that instead of taking all the time, and we still got people that are on the sideline. 25,000 members, there should have been no reason why I couldn't raise $3,000 in about a half a month. It shouldn't have been any reason, 25,000 members. But it's not like that in the real world. People will take, and never give. Last example, real quick, help mentor a person. They got a management position off the job page, got their resume redone, everything, became a manager, hired all their relatives, hired nobody from our job page. 3 years later, lost their job, came back to me, and I asked, first thing that I asked them, I said, number one, I can help you again, but did you give back to the page? Out of them 3 years, did you ever give back to any campaign that we had? You can hear crickets. And it really hit them. And they said, something, Mr. Watts, you're right. And I'm never going to do that again. And she proved it. She paid into, this last drive that we had. So sometimes people gotta get a paradigm shift in their life. They have to have some type of reality check to see that you got to sow seeds to grow seeds. Can't expect no proceeds if you sow no seeds.
I like that, Miss Dr. Watts. I love that, man. For real, for real.
I'm gonna say it one more time. You gotta sow seeds to grow seeds. Can't expect no proceeds if you sow no seeds.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, so Dr. Watts, thank you for your time. Ms. Robinson, thank you all for your time. We're going to stay in communication. We're going to stay in contact, and hopefully we can have you back on a platform as well. We got some events coming up in the near future. This Sunday, we have the health expo, the Council COVID expo that we're having. It's a fitness expo.
Please put the poster on my page, please.
Okay, cool. I'll have Miss Mogbo to reach out to you. But let's start, please invite us to some things that you all are doing. I want to be very supportive and bring some of our followers. And we'd love for you to come out to some things that we're doing, because sometimes we can be so many people doing the same work in the community, but sometimes it's good to work together, shoulder to shoulder and hand by hand, which an example.
Now, it's still not too late to get to the page. The Cash App is there and the Zelle is there. It's waiting on you.
Hey, let's do it. Let's do it there. Enough said.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'm gonna talk to Ms. Mogbo and get your info. I got your information somewhere, and I'm gonna call you directly. Okay.
All right. I go by what you do, not what you say.
I know. I heard you. Love you much.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you all for being on another amazing night here in My Turn to Own. So you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and until next time, have a good night.
Good night, everybody.